Formatting large bodies of text is one of the primary reasons to use InDesign. Designers can use multiple columns, format paragraph settings, choose typefaces, experiment with spacing, design across multiple pages, etc. When working with documents with many pages, one of the most time-consuming endeavors is getting the large body of text into InDesign so that it can be then formatted. One method is to copy and paste supplied text into a text frame on the first page. This causes overset text since the text cannot fit within the frame. Then users manually thread the text from page 1 to page 2, and page 2 to page 3, etc., until enough text frames have been created to house all of the text. Some rules that you should follow if you're going to manually thread your text. Every article gets its own set of threaded text frames. Do not mix different bodies of text within the same document or same set of text threads. So if you're doing a newsletter that has 5 articles, you will have 5 sets of threaded text frames. Keep article 1 separate from article 2. Second, click the red port out button to activate threading, and then click an empty text frame to thread the text into it. You can also click and drag to create your own frame as you're going, or if you've used your margins the way that they should be used and they are the width of your text body, you can just click within the margins and it will automatically create a box that spans all 4 margins, the head, foot, and the right and left side of your page. So you can see here that the text has been threaded. All the text has been placed on the first page, causing a red port out button in the bottom right hand corner of the frame. That's on page 1. You need to create a new page for page 2, and then you can click the red port out button, click page 2, click a frame that's on page 2, click and drag to create a new frame, or just click within the margins of page 2, and it will flow the text to page 2. However, this length of text requires 8 pages. So after I thread to page 2, I will have a repeat of what I saw on page 1 with the red port out button. Click the red port out button, then you can click on page 2. And then you'll repeat that over and over again until you no longer have a red port out button. And in this example, that would occur on page number 8. There are times when manual text threading is appropriate, like, for example, if you're working with short articles in a small document, let's say a 4-page newsletter. However, when chapter after chapter of a novel must be moved over to InDesign, it is not a good idea to do it manually. It'll waste time that isn't necessary to waste. The flowing of text can be done as an automated process in a number of ways. So this is not a step-by-step list. These are just examples of how you could do it. So the first example is to click the red port out button to activate the threading process. Navigate to the second page of your document and then press the Shift key, and then click to flow your text. InDesign will automatically create new pages with the new text frames until all of your text is visible. This only works if you're doing something like a book where all the text frames should be the same size on every page. Option 1 also works when choosing File Place. When you file place a text document, whenever the loaded text cursor is present, hold the Shift key to activate the auto flow text. And so when you click to place the first page of the placed document, if you're holding the Shift key, it will automatically activate that auto flow text. I like option number 3 the best. So activate Smart Text Reflow within the Preferences dialog box and then create a new document that has facing pages and a primary text frame. If you're using an older version of InDesign, it used to be called a master text frame. Place your text into the frame and then pause. After a few seconds, the text will automatically flow onto the newly created pages. This also works if you are placing text from a supplied document, like someone gave you a Microsoft Word document. You can select the primary text frame on page 1, choose File Place, find the Word document you're going to place all the text from, and then pause. Don't forget to pause. If you start clicking around, it can cancel the automation. So I pulled this off of Adobe's website, and it gives you some handy visuals explaining how the threading works. So manual text flow is what we would have covered in our introductory InDesign class. The semi-auto flow, it helps, but it doesn't help a lot. So if you were to use a semi-auto flow, what happens is when you activate your red port button and you go to click the next frame, in a manual way, you would have to say click and thread, and then, oh, I still have red overflow text, so click the red port button, go to the next page and thread. A semi-auto flow would allow you to click the second frame, and if there's still additional text, your cursor will still be active, and you can just keep clicking additional frames to keep threading the text from frame 1 to frame 2 to frame 3 to frame 4. The auto flow is really where the automation occurs, and you can activate that by holding the shift key, whether you are choosing file place or you're pasting into a document. Whatever you're doing, hold the shift key and it will auto flow, but it only works if you have the auto flow activated via the preferences dialog box. So we need to activate Smart Text Reflow via the Preferences dialog box before we jump to InDesign, and you can do that by launching the Preferences dialog box by either choosing Command or Control K, or if you like the menus, go to the InDesign menu, choose Preferences, and then choose Type, and if you're on a PC, you can use the Edit menu, Preferences, and then Type. And at the bottom there, you can see that Smart Text Reflow is selected, and that any new pages that we add are going to be added to the end of the story. You might want to change that if you're adding, like, let's say you're writing a book and it's 25 chapters, and after chapter 4 you've decided to add like an extra chapter 5, which will now create a 26-page document. You could say just add it after these particular pages, etc. So let's jump to InDesign and let's talk about how you would autoflow text. So I have that Gutenberg project Wizard of Oz open. I'm just going to close out of it. I'm going to close out of all the documents I have open, actually. And I want to create a new document that will be prepared for the automation of text flowing. And you can make it any size you want. I'm going to use a default settings for time. What is important, though, is that you have a primary text frame. And then also that you go to the InDesign menu, Preferences, and Type, and make sure that you have Smart Text Reflow selected. Once you have that, you can, I'm going to copy my text, but you could get your text from whatever source you want. So I'm going to go to the Gutenberg project. I'm going to search for Wizard of Oz. Make sure you type Wizard of Oz right. And then I'm going to grab the plain text just for time's sake and do Command or Control A to select all and Command C to copy. And when we jump to InDesign, if you just create a document and you don't create it with a primary text frame, you'll notice that this looks identical. These two documents look identical. You can't even tell I'm switching, but there's no text frame. You don't want to create your own text frame because it won't work. So you need to create a document that has a primary text frame. Notice there's a little icon indicating it's a primary text frame. It also is almost showing you that it's going to thread your text for you. With the text cursor blinking, I'm going to open the Pages panel bigger so you can see kind of what's going to happen. I'm going to Command V to paste and paste all the text from my document, and I'm just going to hang out for a second. Don't touch anything, don't move, and automatically you can see that it flowed my text from one page to the next all the way down until I got to page 103. Now there's a lot more work that needs to be done. You know, free isn't always the best, right? And so this text has a lot of formatting issues I need to deal with, but I don't have to spend the next half an hour threading the text from page to page. Another benefit of this is if you delete pages or you delete text, it will automatically delete pages in your project. And so if I decide to delete all of this text and I pause, it will auto reflow and it will get rid of the pages that I don't need at the bottom of the project. Oh, I must have moved too fast. Just don't move too fast and it will get rid of them for you. Okay. Give that a shot on your own. I think it's one of the really cool features of InDesign. You can also, if somebody gives you a Microsoft Word document, you could choose File Place, select the Microsoft Word document, and then place it into that initial primary text frame, and then you can watch the text auto flow from page to page.